Hey folks, welcome back, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot if this is your first visit here, and thank you so much for choosing to join me for our pick a card reading today. Today's topic is a bit of a deep dive. I want to do something with more depth, and specifically we're asking Spirit, the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but it's okay. So today's reading will be self-reflection oriented. It's almost like holding up a mirror to your own soul and saying, what am I not seeing here? But even though it's going to be a bit of a deep dive and it might kind of call you out a little bit, don't worry. As always, my readings are both made with the intention of empowerment and clarity and soothing the soul and mind. So without further ado, let us pick our pile leaders to choose our reading with. We're using the Sacred Rebels Oracle today, calling on Spirit for the highest, best good of our community. Please guide us to the correct cards for their messages. Thank you. Okay, I already feel this one for pile 1. And this one for pile 2. And let's see which one calls for pile 3. Actually, I want to choose this one back here. Alright, and let's flip the cards over. So for our wonderful pile number 1 here on the left, your leader today is, free from judgment, free to love. Very green energy card, lots of healing in that one, I bet. For pile 2 today, your pile leader is, legacy of light. Wonderful. And last but not least, for a wonderful pile 3 over here on the right, your leader today is restore and replenish. All right, so pile 1, free from judgment, free to love. Pile 2, you are legacy of light. And pile 3, you are restore and replenish. But as I always say, you're perfectly welcome to pause here and meditate on the piles if you would like. If you're new to pick a card readings and you're like, Lone Pine, how do I choose one? I always suggest close your eyes, take in a deep cleansing breath, maybe even the deepest breath you've taken all day, especially if you've had a stressful day, as we often tend to in our busy modern world. And ask your spirit guides, give me a number 1 through 3. And your first instinct, the first number that pops up, that's the pile I recommend you choose. But whatever your method, you can even choose just which picture you like the most, that works too. Drop down to the description box below, find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our deep dive reflection chat on the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but it's okay. See you in the reading, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but as we said in the intro, it's okay. We're going to do this reading for empowerment and clarity in mind. And as you recall, you were drawn to the card free from judgment, free to love to choose your pile today. So as we always do when we choose with our pile leaders, our oracle cards, we're going to put this to the left to start. And let's draw your tarot spread to begin. So, calling on Spirit once more for our wonderful pile 1 today. Please tell us more about the truth they haven't admitted to themselves, but something that will help them. Thank you. Oh, we have a lot of cards that want to come out today. So we'll take that one. Oh boy. Saves me time from having to figure out which ones to pull. So that is okay with me. Beautiful. So there are our 5 cards for you. Let's unveil them now. And then we'll also draw, of course, your oracle cards. So first up from Tarot Pile 1, we have, the Wheel of Fortune. That's always a positive card to get. Let's keep seeing where the story goes. Okay. 10 of Wands reversed. Definitely already kind of know a theme coming through. And then we have another 10, but the 10 of Pentacles reversed. And on top of that, the Wheel of Fortune is number 10 in the Major Arcana. So 10, pile number 1, tends to represent completion and the end of cycles in tarot, cartomancy in general. So that might be part of the truth that Spirit wants to explore with you today. Especially, that's interesting, because we just have 3 10s in a row. Let's keep going. Then we have the Eight of Cups reversed, a little bit of water energy. I see. Okay. Then we have, last but not least, some fire with the Page of Wands, but upright. Okay. And then let's look at your oracle cards, pile number 1. I already know which one I want to draw for this one. Heal yourself to heal the world, number 9. And we have 2 9s once again. Your Sacred Rebels Oracle was 39. This one is also 9. So once again, a theme forms. Especially being right before 10, pile 1. We have that theme of being close to completion with things and then being at completion with things. Then from the Soul Mirror Oracle today. Okay, this one looks prominent. We have Inner Child. Careless versus receptive. Okay, so some of the truth that is coming forward for you today, pile 1, is definitely related to your childhood, as it often is with things that we might not want to admit to yourself, or ourselves, I should say. A lot of those things stem from childhood, and a lot of the reasons we don't address the truth is because we have put up defense mechanisms for survival reasons, okay? So we'll talk about that more as we weave the story of your messages together, but last but not least, we have the Power of Surrender cards. Lots of healing, too, as I said when I was drawing the pile leaders in the intro. You have a lot of green in your pile leader with Free from Judgment. Then you have a lot of healings, literally. Heal yourself to heal the world. And then your Power of Surrender, last but not least, is surrender frustration. And I'll read the text. It says, frustration doesn't open any doors. The key to resolving a dilemma or dissolving a block is to take a breath, center yourself, and regroup so that you may approach the situation more calmly. All right. So let's look at the story in totality here, pile 1. Obviously, like I said, we have that theme of completion with all the 10s that popped up. Lots of those, especially too with like 8, and then you have 2 9s as well. So it's something to do, number 1, with the way you emotionally view like completing things or bringing things to fruition. That's at least one theme popping forward here because of that numerology association that really has been standing out to me. So it's especially oriented towards the way you view success. That is, I say that because the first card that popped out was the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune, pile 1, is often related to, well, completion, yes, because of that 10 number, but also luck, fate, karma, things going in our favor versus not going in our favor, but especially because it's upright, it's the positive connotation of things going in our favor or in our luck. But then right after that, you have the 10 of Wands reversed with the beaver. I'll cover that for a second from the Oracle card. You have the 10 of Wands reversed with the beaver, and the 10 of Wands reversed represents releasing burdens off of yourself. Okay, so that's one mini theme here. In a second I'll explain. And then especially too in combination with the 10 of Pentacles, the other 10, you have the theme of not inheriting things or not letting something pass down. And I think that ties to that inner child message. So to summarize in totality and in a way that is tangible, pile 1, I think one truth that you're avoiding is you're too hard on yourself when it comes to, as I said, how you view success in life, how you view completion. Maybe you tend to have issues regarding, like, thinking, oh, what's the best way to put it? Like, for example, let's say you do this project at work, and so you're like, oh, this is my best work yet. I was so nose to the grindstone with it. I worked so hard. It was blood, sweat, and tears pouring into this thing. And then you get there and it almost feels like this empty satisfaction, this feeling of, I don't know, could I have done better? Could I have done this? It's like, I feel like you almost kind of like nitpick yourself too much when it comes to completing things. This reading here is not saying that you don't complete things well, pile number 1, because look at that Wheel of Fortune upright. that you do things well. I think you also are very talented and you're very skilled with things. It's just that you nitpick yourself far too much. It almost gives me like perfectionism tendencies. And especially when we tie that into your pile leader card with free from judgment, free to love, it's like literally that card represents like mothering energy or motherhood energy in terms of you need to treat yourself more like a positive mother would treat her child. All right. So when you find yourself completing projects or attaining certain achievements and then looking back and instead of saying, oh, wow, I did so well and look how hard I worked. And you instead what you do is you go, oh man, well, I could have done that better. Or, oh man, well, that thing was I dropped the ball on that. The truth, pile one, is it's like, I don't know, I guess to summarize, you need that perspective shift of instead of being a perfectionist and picking yourself apart to pieces, you need to appreciate yourself more and you need to, well, pat yourself on the back more. You need to tell yourself and be that mother to yourself saying, hey, pile one, yes, maybe there was like a little slip up here and there with that project, but you know what? It went as well as it possibly could have, and you gave it your all. And especially too, if you're finding that, especially, because you have that that Wheel of Fortune pile one, I think you do find that you're actually more successful than you give yourself credit for. So especially if you find that resonating, if that's true, please just don't nitpick yourself so much. So I guess to summarize, you're too hard on yourself is number one. The first truth that's popping out. Far too hard on yourself. And the reason why pile one is linked to that childhood theme that I mentioned before. Because not only do you have the inner child card over here, in the very center you have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. And the Ten of Pentacles reversed pile one, especially in the center, which is the position in my spread I call the heart of the matter, so to speak. Okay, basically the underlying theme of the whole reason why you do this. This card represents bad things passed down, especially reversed. It also represents legacies we need to let go of. So I think this stems from early childhood. I think it stems from early family. I am not seeing a specific parent, but although, because of your pile leader, you were drawn to being mothering energy. That's what it represents. I almost wonder if it's a wound you have with your mother because of that. Because this card says, you know what, you might not have had the most loving, appreciative mother or parent in a healing, mothering role, but that doesn't mean that you can't love and mother yourself. So maybe you had a very overcritical mother or parent when you were young. Maybe they had that kind of nitpicking, perfectionistic tendencies with themselves. You know, it can manifest in different ways, pile one. It can be either this parent figure you saw it through like a child's eyes and seeing your parent pick on themselves so much, so you picked on that same habit, or you picked it up, I should say. Or it could have been that the mother figure or parent figure was critical specifically not just to themselves, but also to you, and then you picked it up that way. So it's either imitation or it's the way that this parent figure, I think, trained you to think about yourself. So what Spirit is saying is you have to admit the truth, pile one, that isn't healthy. And I know it's really hard to drop those behaviors because when we learn things as children, it's so imprinted in our psyche. It's so pivotal to what we've based our personality and the way we behave on that it's kind of hard to untangle all of our habits away from that core truth and that core unfortunate thing that went on when you were young. But Spirit wants you to do this because of that Ten of Wands reversed, pile one. They want you to release your burdens. They don't want you to feel like you have to be a perfectionist anymore. They don't want you to feel like you have to pick yourself apart, like you're criticizing, you know, a really intricate painting, or I'm trying to think of other metaphors, but I could go on forever with metaphors, pile one, but just to summarize, that's what they're saying. And I think that's what also ties into the surrender frustration card. I think the frustration you tend to where you tend to funnel that is at yourself. Maybe you think, why can't I be better? Or perhaps you think to yourself often, how come I didn't landing perfectly? How come I can't be this? How come I can't be that? You know, maybe you even compare yourself a little bit to others, although I kind of see this reading as more internally focused. It's not so much about comparison to others, but sometimes when we pick on ourselves a lot, it's because we are, indulging in the comparison is the theft of joy behavior by saying, well, why can't I have what they have? Or why can't I be as perfect as they are? Which, plot twist pile one, you already know this, but no one's perfect. Okay, every person that I think you've ever probably compared yourself to, and myself included, I've compared myself to others, everybody does it. They're not perfect either, even if it looks like it on the outside. There's always flaws underneath the surface, and that's okay because you know what? Flaws make us human, and nobody is perfect. So really, the other truth you have to admit to yourself, pile one, is you need to let go of frustration with yourself. You need to be easier on yourself. You need to adopt that loving motherly energy that perhaps you did not have as a child. And you almost have to mother yourself in terms of not a stern voice, not a voice of, you should do this, oh, you should have been that, blah, 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 blah. That's the negative voice that's still sitting on your shoulder, picking yourself apart. You need mother energy to yourself in terms of, maybe it's corny by me saying it this way, but, good job, sweetie. You worked really hard and I'm proud of you. Or what are other phrases good mothers say? Well, just even loving yourself too, unconditionally. And that's what that card means, free from judgment, free to love. Because that is the love of motherhood, is completely acceptant or non-conditional love. That's another thing. That's a really good phrase to use. Non-conditional love to yourself, pile one. And I think maybe the reason this is popping up for you from Spirit is because this card right here, free, blah, blah. I was talking about your pile later. Heal yourself to heal the world. I almost wonder, maybe some of you are healers. Maybe that's part of your job. I don't know if you're maybe like a nurse, or maybe you work with children. Maybe that's why this theme kind of keeps popping up too. Maybe you try to be the mother to children that you never had. Maybe even to your own children, or maybe to as a job with children like daycare, teaching, etc., working with children in those facets. And maybe you kind of find that, what's the best way to put it, pile one? Maybe some of your own wounds kind of impede the way that you try to heal and help others. That, or it's like Spirit is saying this and wanting you to admit this truth to yourself because it would help empower you healing others even more. Because that's what the mechanism of this card is talking about. It's like, in order to heal others, you have to heal yourself first. In order to give other people wisdom and advice upon healing, it's best to kind of know, well, how did I heal myself? Of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Everyone heals in different ways, but generally, pile number one, especially if you were interested in helping children, like that might be your career focus or some career you want to maybe pivot to, the best place for you would be helping children in the same way that you were not helped when you were young. So being that loving, motherly energy to them. Okay, it doesn't matter what your gender is. We can all have, motherly and fatherly energy. But specifically motherly energy is what I'm picking up with this reading. So if you're finding you want to progress in your career, progress in the way that you heal others, even if it's not specifically children, pile one, this is why Spirit's bringing this up, because they're like, we want you to heal yourself inside. And it's hard. It's not easy, okay? Healing childhood wounds, working on inner child work, pile one, it's lifelong. I mean, you have to literally untrain yourself from things that were burned into your brain when you were young. It's so hard. It's difficult, but you know what? It makes life that much better when we can deprogram ourselves and then accept, yes, I do deserve love unconditionally. I do deserve pride unconditionally. I don't need to pick myself apart into a million pieces anymore, okay? And then, I didn't even talk about your last two tarot cards. There I am, rambling on. But we also have the Eight of Cups reversed, and we have the Page of Wands. So the Eight of Cups reversed, pile one, is related to having some issues emotionally moving on from things. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. I don't need to explore it too much because I think most of what you may be having issues emotionally moving on from is this feeling of like issues from your childhood that we already discussed, okay? Especially if what I've been saying so far has resonated. But then we have the Page of Wands at the very end. And the Page of Wands, pile one, is someone with a youthful energy that explores and is curious, and especially is youthful and curious around the energy of fire. And fire in tarot, pile one, represents creativity and ambitions and the things that we're passionate about. So I think that's maybe where this blockage has been also impeding you. Even if you don't necessarily resonate with the idea of wanting to heal people as part of your career, or it's maybe something you already do, in general, I think that's part of your life purpose here, that this truth to be admitted would help improve or like help orient you more towards success on that path with that life purpose. So your life purpose, at least one of them, pile one, I always believe we have more than one, personally, is to explore what makes you feel alive. And also, too, when we talk about creativity and ambition, we also have to talk about its sister, which is confidence. That's another thing that fire in tarot represents with the wand suit, is confidence in ourselves. Okay, so also, you might find by working on these things, you will improve your self-esteem. You will improve your confidence. Because here's the thing, how are you going to be confident if all you do is sit there and nitpick yourself 24/7? When you put yourself under such a microscope and such scrutiny, all you can see are flaws. But what you need to look at, pile one, is the bigger picture. The overall whole picture, okay, that should have had love, that maybe lacked love in the past, and that's why maybe you have some troubles loving yourself in that motherly energy way. Okay, and when you admit this, when you work through this, as difficult as it is, and I know it's not easy, not saying you get to fix it in a day, and neither does Spirit, but that will open up that energy of the Page of Wands here. You can explore more confidently. You can explore more creatively. I don't know, some of you might actually be creative people, and maybe you find that you've been having creation or like creative block or writer's block recently, or maybe just throughout your whole adult life, you're like, why am I always so like blocked creatively? Well, the answer to that, pile one, is because you nitpick yourself far too much. It's that same problem. So, I mean, it might affect your career, if your career isn't creative related, but also even in your spare time, you're with your hobbies. Maybe you pick on yourself too much, and that's why you tend to have blocks. Because how can we make progress and look forward if all we do is look backward and criticize every footstep that we've taken to this point? Well, then you just get mired in the past, and you're not looking forward and figuring out, okay, what's my next step? You keep thinking, well, how crappy was that step I just took before? So Spirit is saying, switch your perspective around, pile one. Instead of looking at the past, look towards the future. Okay, take the microscope off of yourself and turn it into a telescope that has a wider view of possibilities in the future rather than a microscope put on yourself in the past. Okay, so some inner child work. A little bit more mothering ourself energy is needed here, I think. Being less frustrated with ourselves, just to summarize everything. And that will open up a lot of those blocks. It would also help you heal others too, which I think is another part of your life purpose based on that card. So beautiful energy today, pile number one. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. As I said, I hope in the beginning, I was like, some of these deep dive kind of self-reflection readings can be a little tough on ourselves because they are in deeper topics. They maybe pick at some wounds that we've had, but they're very healing, and that's what I want with these readings. As I said in the intro, I want you to feel empowered. I also want you to feel like you've had greater clarity, and if you have, here's my little YouTube spiel. You know the drill. You know how it works. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one, if not three, or I guess I would say three or more. No, there really is just three things. Okay. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do so. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile one. Hello there, my wonderful pile number two. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but it's okay. So, as I said in the intro, I'm hoping today's reading for you provides you empowerment, but also some clarity. And of course, even though this is a deep dive and it does delve into some healing, I hope that you feel this is soothing to your soul. So as you recall, you were drawn to Legacy of Light as your pile leader. And as we always do with pile leaders, I like to put them to the left by the candle. And let's start your reading today with your tarot spread. And then, of course, we'll also draw oracle cards afterwards. So, calling on Spirit for our wonderful pile two today, Legacy of Light, for their highest best good. What truth have they not admitted to themselves yet, but it's okay. All right, lots of cards wanting to fly. Actually, I'm going to take the back one. Oh, that one came out with it. I'll take it. I was like, I meant that one to be number 4, but that one flew out, so we'll take that one as 4 and the one I was pulling as 5. Beautiful. Let's unveil your cards. So first up to bat, pile 2 for you is the Page of Pentacles reversed. We have, it looks like a locust or grasshopper on a sunflower. Beautiful. Number 2, we have King of Wands, a bit of fire energy with the lion. Kind of lots of sunshiny, fiery imagery, or even a sunflower. Makes me think of course, you know, the sun, aka fire. And then we have the star. Speaking of the sun and fire, literally the star. I wonder if you are a fire sign, pile 2, or if you have a lot of fire placement in your charts. I'm already seeing a theme coming forward here. Let's see what else pops out. Yeah, okay. 6 of Cups reversed, which is very fitting with your pile leader. We'll discuss that in a while here, or a bit, I should say. Okay, definitely some childhood influences here. That's what that card means. Does not shock me. Pile 1 was kind of similar too, and I think, you know, pile 2, that's where a lot of the things that we're not necessarily admitting to ourselves come from. I'll tell you what I told pile 1, and that sometimes we shy away from that reflection because we've built up the action of looking away from truth in order to protect ourselves for survival reasons, and oftentimes that is because of a childhood reason. Because when children build up defenses like that, it's mostly to survive. So we'll talk about that more in a second. And last but not least, we have the 10 of Wands reversed. Yes, in fact, you're quite similar to pile 1 today. They also had that card. All right, so I already am seeing what's going on here. It's quite clear you have what I call, I used to call it a hammer reading, where it was kind of a similar message repeated quite a lot. But I won't draw your oracle cards to get the fuller picture. I will say, just to give you a bit of a hint though, pile 2, a lot of your theme today with the truth is related to confidence, especially because of that King of Wands. But in general, and I think, as I said, probably stems from childhood reasons, so. All right, from the Healing Spirits Oracle, ooh, look at that sun and fire energy again. You have the ability to affect your own destiny with number 41. What a gorgeous card. Well, the whole deck is just gorgeous, but especially that one. Wonderful. Then from the Soul Mirror Oracle today, let's see what that card has to say. All right, well, that one for sure is just like pick me. Learning. Rejected versus accepting. And we have, it looks like, I love this deck in general, but we have the dark hands covering her eyes. And she's holding her own hands over them. Well, I can't tell if she's holding them over them to take them off or to keep them on. I guess it depends on if she's rejecting or accepting. And then, last but not least, we have the Power of Surrender deck. What should pile 2 surrender with this? You know, another thing that was coming out intuitively as I was drawing your other cards, pile 2, is I almost wonder if some of you had teachers that weren't very nice to you when you were young, or like adult figures in general. Especially because of learning. Immediately I was like, ooh, I wonder if they had teachers that weren't very kind to them. Because, you know, it's hard enough as a child, pile 2, being bullied or ostracized by peers, but when adults do it, it's like a double whammy of, oh, well, if the adults are doing it, well, what my peers are saying must be true. Because when you're a child, pile 2, you always think, well, you know, adults know everything. They don't. We all know that as adults now, but when you're a kid, you're like, oh, adults world, or not world, blah, blah. An adult's word is law. And so we internalize that. So I'm wondering if some of you had maybe some teachers that weren't so nice, or teacher figures, mentors. And then we have surrender worry. I'll read the text. It says, make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that spirit is guiding you always. Okay, pile 2. Let's look at everything in totality here. I'll adjust my chair and look at everything here. So I think, well, let's go into the reason for the truth. We already discussed it a little bit, and then we'll go into the full truth, because I feel like that's a better way to kind of explain the story here of everything going on. So pile 2, as I said, I think adult figures failed you when you were young. I think not only teachers, which was the first thing that came out, even if it wasn't necessarily like a teacher, it was just like adult figures in general, but also in your family. And I say that because you have legacy of light, which is about what have I inherited, hence the term legacy. That's what it means, right? And you have the 6 of Cups reversed with the 2 lambs here. I'll feel that again for a second. And that, my friends, 6 of Cups reversed tends to represent bad situations from childhood that still affect us to this day, or kind of nostalgia in the opposite. You probably had a pretty tough childhood, especially, like I said, pile 2, because like pile 1 today, they literally, for them, the message was more just so about like a certain parent. For you, pile 2, I feel like you had not only maybe one or both parents that weren't necessarily the most supportive, but also, as I said, other adult figures. Okay, so when that happens, now I'm not a child psychologist, but to my understanding and in my own experience in like therapy that I've been through when I was younger, when we are children and we hear things from adults, as I said before, we tend to take them as gospel because we're still forming our logical reasoning, we're still forming our understanding of the world, and we think and look up to adults as these figures of total logic and total truth. They're not, as I said. We all know that as adults. A lot of adults, no, but the problem is that when you're a child, you don't know that. So when we're in those formative years, a lot of our perspective on the world, but also ourselves, is formed deeply by what adults say to us, what adults treat us like, and what adults tell us is truth. I think that's where this failed for you. I think adult figures failed for you in terms of being, well, not necessarily like, it's not like dishonesty with you, but I think, if I had to drill it down for most of you, they did things that undermined your confidence, is what I want to say. And specifically that comes up because we have the King of Wands as your second card, and also the Star too. The King of Wands, pile 2, is the card of utmost confidence projected outwards. Confidence combined with masculine energy, because that's what a King of Wands is, just like a lion that's the head of his pride. Literally, a pride of lions. He's not shy about, here I am, I'm the best, look at me. Pure confidence, right? That's why that animal was chosen for that particular card. Then the Star, pile 2, is also a card of having hope or faith in things, and especially because that is your heart of the matter card, I call the central card of my spread. That's kind of like the underlying theme, or like the pillars upon which everything is based upon. And I think that's where you were failed when you were young with this truth. They didn't help you build up your confidence. I don't know exactly what they said to you, these adult figures, when you were young, but I think it undermined your ability to feel proud of yourself, and it undermined your ability to believe in yourself, hence the energy of the Star, because that is the card of having hope or faith in things. And I think that's where the truth is coming in, pile 2, at least one of the truths. There are some other ones here. Truth number 1 for you today, pile 2, is you don't believe in yourself enough. And I know some of you might be like, oh, that's cliche, but it's true. How many people just do not believe in themselves because of similar issues that I think you have had, pile 2, of adults didn't treat you or teach you how to believe in yourself. So that which you have no foundation upon which to believe in yourself now. Okay, sometimes it happens because we see adults modeling that behavior. Maybe you had a parent or two, or, just mentor figures, adult figures around you that didn't believe in themselves, that didn't really ever give themselves the chance to do what they wanted to do. Maybe they always said, well, I wanted to do this thing, but I don't know, I wasn't good enough, so I didn't. behaviors like that. Now that's, more of the indirect way that we can be affected by those adult figures, through modeling and emulating their behavior. The other way can be, unfortunately, the sadder way, and I hope this isn't true for most of you, but it does happen, so it can be the way that adults treat us specifically. It's not modeling behavior in terms of, well, I'm going to copy the adult because that's what I do as a child. It's, well, this is what an adult told me, so it must be truth. And in that case, some of you might resonate more with adults literally told you you're not good enough to do that. Why would you try that? Because, you don't have the skill for that, or you're not good enough, or you're not, other terrible things adults might tell you, unfortunately. I mean, there's a million things, unfortunately. And I wish adults were better, but as we all know, as adults, they aren't always the best with kids. So I'm sorry, Pile 2, if that's resonating, because holy crap. But the thing is that the truth you need to admit to yourself is that isn't truth. So the things you believe about yourself that you were taught as a child regarding your confidence or whether or not you're good enough were lies. Okay, so part of the truth today is admitting what those adult figures told me were lies, and I need to toss them into the trash. Okay? Literally. You are good enough, Pile number 2. And maybe, once again, you might be like, well, that's cliche, but sometimes we really need to hear it. Sometimes we don't believe it, or we think, oh, that's corny, or, oh, I'm tough. I don't need to get that validation or be told that. But you know what? Sometimes even just hearing those 4 words, you are good enough, helps. Okay? You are good enough. And the way it manifests in your life, Pile number 2, this problem, this truth you're not admitting, is I think you don't believe in your ability to drive your own destiny or make your own choices in life. Or it could also manifest in the way of, speaking of your healing spirits, where it says you have the ability to affect your own destiny. Maybe you think you have to follow the prescribed path that other people have told you that you have to follow. Maybe because you wanted a different path and they said, well, you're not good enough for that, or, or I don't want to help you on that path, and I think this is the best way you should go. Maybe that's some of the ways the adults when you were young affected you. Like, say, you wanted to do one career, and then your parents were like, well, that's trash, do this instead. That happens a lot, because, and sometimes parents come at it from they can come at it from a loving perspective, in which they might say, well, I want my child to do this career because this career has more respect by societal standards, or they'll be able to support themselves better because it pays them better money, right? Sometimes it's really just a fear of security for their children, which is great to care about that, but at the same time, a parent should also care about, well, what actually makes my child happy? Okay, because, cliche, but money can't buy you happiness. Yeah, it's good, you want to have soup to eat and a roof to keep the rain out of your soup, but on top of that, all things considered in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we also need happiness, not just security, okay? So I think that's another truth you need to admit to yourself, Pile 2, is my happiness is worth my effort and energy, and the effort and energy of other people around me. Okay. You also need to admit to yourself the truth of, I deserve to follow the path in life that I want to do. Because that's what we're put here for, at least in my personal belief, Pile 2. We're not here to be told what to do. Okay? That doesn't respect yourself as a piece of creation, a piece of God, a piece of spirit, whatever term you want to use. It's up to you. We respect all beliefs here, but you were put here to orient your own destiny like a captain at the helm of a ship. You weren't put here to be a drone and be told what to do 24/7. Now, society, and this is one of the hardest things about incarnating here on Earth, society and other people will do everything they can to make you believe that you have to follow what they say. Okay, because either they want money from you, or they want power from you, or they want compliance from you, same thing. Different underhanded reasons, or even if they don't know it consciously, maybe they think they're doing the best for you. It's still, people thinking they're doing the best for you can undermine your independence and your right. That's the word I want to use, your right as a free spirit to choose your own destiny. So you have to admit to yourself, Pile number 2, lovingly, I am worth the freedom to choose what I want to do in life. Okay? And the reason why Spirit is telling you this today is because of two factors. Now, we're getting into both your surrender card and your Ten of Wands reversed. Your surrender card is quite straightforward. I don't really need to explain it too much, but as the card says, do not leave an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out. Focus on the power of your heart. Have faith that Spirit is guiding you always. Maybe that's another thing that stops you from feeling confident in the path that you really want to follow, is because it's been driven into your head so hard again and again. You have to choose the path that other people expect. You have to choose the path of 100%, no risks and security, okay? But sometimes, pile 2, taking a risk towards what would make us happy is worth it's worth the risks, okay? Because if you live life to the beat of everyone else's drum and to just existential worries, well, are you really living or are you just surviving? Okay, you weren't put here just to survive, you're here to thrive, to live, to be happy, to have joy, to have love, all those wonderful things that being a spirit means, okay? And on top of that, we have the Ten of Wands reversed. Quite frankly, pile 2, that card is... Spirit wants you to do this because they want you to release a burden. They want you to let go of this on your shoulders. It weighs you down far too much. Oh God, I didn't even talk about your Page of Pentacles. Where am I going? We also have the Page of Pentacles reversed in the beginning here. So yeah, releasing burdens is the Ten of Wands reversed. But Page of Pentacles reversed is all about feeling like we're not given the opportunity to explore things in terms of earth element, which is career, finances, security, whatnot. We're also feeling like we are insecure in terms of our resources. So that kind of touches on what I already explained. That might be where some of this stems from, is a fear of a lack of security that makes us feel like we got to put ourselves in a cage. Okay, that freedom thing I was talking about. Some of the things that it might have stemmed from too were parents, as I said, adult figures that acted that way. Maybe they always felt like they had to worry about security and absolutely nothing else. Maybe that's where that stems from with that negative or reversed Page of Pentacles energy. Okay, maybe it was drilled into your head. Never take a risk. Always choose the safe path. Okay, but Spirit wants you, pile 2. Have confidence with that King of Wands. Have hope or faith in yourself with that Star card. And when you do that, when you make that little dial switch in your own heart and your soul, that's when you'll feel the heavy burden of life that you've been carrying so far quite heavily. It'll lift. Pile 2. That's Ten of Wands reversed, lifting your burdens. All right. And then we also have that theme of rejected versus accepting with your learning card. I think what that means to me, for you, pile 2, is I think you reject pieces of yourself too much, especially regarding what we already discussed about what you really want out of life, what really makes you happy, and not being ashamed to accept this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. Also accepting yourself, because that really is the core pillar foundation of confidence, like the King of Wands, pile 2. The first step to confidence is acceptance of self. All right. So to summarize, your truth today is you have to throw those things that you were taught as a child out in terms of what you want to do in life, in terms of your own confidence, in terms of how you feel about yourself. You have inherited a legacy, and it might even be a generational trauma. That's another thing that can happen, pile 2, especially with Legacy of Light. As I said, that's kind of an ancestry or generational card, hence the term legacy. Generational trauma can do that too. Literally, my own family, really heavily affected by the Great Depression in the United States back in 1929 in the early 30s. Forever afterwards, my family was very frugal with money because they basically lost everything at that point. And that passes down. So, generational trauma like that, pile 2, can pass down in ways where we tell our children, do this to prevent the thing that happened to me. It's well-meaning, but circumstances aren't always the same. And sometimes it can get so restricting that we feel like we're stuck in a cage of worry. Okay, so admit that truth to yourself, that you don't have to live your life that way. You can let yourself out of the cage. You can believe in yourself, and please admit to yourself, pile 2, that you have the right and the reason to be confident in what you want and who you are. Okay? So that was your reading for today. I hope, of course, most of all, that it helped you. It's my number one concern with these readings. And as I said in the intro, that you feel empowered, you've gained some clarity. And if so, hate to do the YouTube spiel, but that's how it works. You know the drill. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one, if not all 3 of those things today. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 2. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but it's okay. And as I said in the intro, I'm hoping this reading empowers you. I hope it provides you some clarity. And I know sometimes self-reflection deep dives like this can maybe bring up some old wounds and worries, but as always, I will deliver your message with soothing the soul and mind. All right, so as you recall, you were drawn to Restore and Replenish as your pile leader number 38. So I think I kind of already know one theme that might pop forward, but let's glimpse into your other cards to see the full story. First, we'll draw some tarot cards. So calling on Spirit today for the highest, best good in mind for pile 3. Could you tell us a little bit more about the truth they haven't admitted to themselves yet that you want them to know for their healing? Thank you. What must they know? All right, there's card number 1. And let's do this for number 5. We'll reveal these first, and then, of course, we'll go into your oracle cards to see the whole picture. But first up, we have the 8 of Cups. Okay, makes lots of sense for a reading like this. We'll talk about the meanings of this more in a moment. Then we have the 5 of Pentacles reversed. Okay. Heart of the Matter card. Ooh, we have Strength, and I love that particular depiction of strength that is... I guess it's not technically a deer. It's an elk, I believe. It almost kind of looks like an Irish elk. I think they're technically extinct, but they have those really, really wide antlers. Beautiful. We have Strength. Lots of similar themes amongst everybody today. I don't know if our community collectively kind of deals with the same matters, or maybe just collectively everyone that watches this reading will need to hear similar messages. But, oh yes, the 10 of Swords reversed. Oh, you're pretty drained lately, I can tell you that. Not only because of the 10 of Swords reversed, pile number 3, but also the Restore and Replenish as your pile leader. That's kind of the theme I was already seeing. And I think this truth, part of the reason why Spirit wants to come forward to talk to you about it is because they want to help, well, hence your pile leader, restore and replenish your energy. And then last but not least, we have, ooh yes, the Chariot reversed makes tons of sense too, especially with energetic kind of themed readings. Because the Chariot reversed can feel like we're not making progress on something, or it feels like things are kind of sluggish or out of control. Yes, quite the theme coming forward. Let's look at your oracle cards too, of course. So, Healing Spirits Oracle, first up to bat. Oopsie, I went helter-skelter here. Ah, this one. So from the Healing Spirits Oracle, we have Be Like Your Spirit Guide. It looks like almost a bird or angelic figure. Number 16. Any numbers so far? No numbers. Okay. At least in terms of matching ones. I like to weave numerology into the reading as well sometimes, but we'll see. Maybe some other decks will have those for you. Be like your spirit guide. Okay. Then from the Soul Mirror Oracle, we have Portal. God, we've got some motherhood energy today, too. I don't know if a lot of you are mothers or you are a parent, but every pile today has kind of had mother energy. We have Portal open versus closed, as is one of the feminine powers. The portal from here versus there. That's why they want to help you today. They want to help you make progress on something, but I think this truth that you haven't been admitting is holding yourself back in a way. But that's the purpose as to why Spirit's reaching out to you today, pile 3. Especially combined with that Chariot reversed. So I don't know if recently you've had like a goal or a thing going on where you feel as if you're just spinning your wheels in place and you don't know why. You're like, why am I not gaining the energy I need for this, or the enthusiasm, or it feels like there keeps being like blockages in the way. This reading is going to help you with that, I think. And then we have, been there myself, pile number 3. I could speak to this in my own experience. Surrender the habit of people pleasing. Speak your needs and be true to yourself. Focus on your own happiness instead of always trying to make everybody else happy. Boy, is that common. As I said, struggle with it myself, pile 3. So actually, this might be my pile today. You might be kind of my kin pile. So let's look at everything in totality. So yes, as I said, let's reiterate that part as I was explaining as the cards came out. Pile 3, I think recently you've been feeling kind of sluggish in some ways. I feel like maybe you've been burnt out a lot, hence especially the 10 of Swords reversed and the Restore and Replenish card. Also, too, I think you've been lacking progress in areas that you feel like you either should be further on, and keyword there is feel like, there's no should, but oftentimes when we're hard on ourselves, we're like, oh, I should be at this place instead of this area, or at this milestone instead of this one back here. And sometimes this can also manifest in a way of feeling like things are out of our control, or it feels like life just happens to you, but you can never direct it yourself. If you feel that resonating, I think this pile is especially for you. Okay, so that's the problem Spirit wants to solve today for you regarding this message. The number one truth you need to admit to yourself is there's something from your past you need to move on from emotionally. That card comes up with the 8 of Cups as your first inciting incident card. And the 8 of Cups pile 3 is a card of moving emotionally on from things in our past, just as I mentioned before. I think the things you need to move on from your past emotionally are things regarding hardships and things regarding a belief in, it almost feels like you don't believe you deserve more. And I say that because we have the 5 of Pentacles here. I'll uncover it for a second. Reversed as your second card. And the 5 of Pentacles reversed, pile 3, is a card of overcoming hardships, especially regarding money and finances and career and like resources, stability, those areas of the earth element. So I don't know if like part of this feeling of a lack of control, it could be like you lost a job recently. That's a 5 of Pentacles reverse situation. It can also be like a scarcity mindset. It can be something regarding, what's another way it might be manifesting? Struggling with poverty recently, maybe it's not even recently, pile 3, maybe you've struggled with these things your whole entire life, and that's what I'm finding with a lot of the piles today. A lot of these truths are things that are from childhood, although specifically you didn't get any childhood cards like the other piles did, so I think maybe some of your struggle with this has been more recent, but some of you it might reflect in terms of like long term. So I'm trying to see here, what are the issues, Spirit, with the things they need to move on emotionally from hardship in the past? I think number one, yes, it's you feel like you don't deserve more. But then, too, because we have the 10 of Swords reversed, and sometimes that can mean betrayal. I don't know if maybe you felt like especially screwed over by what happened. Sometimes it can be like, especially with a job, maybe you feel like you were really unfairly let go. Like maybe you were fired, but it was for like the stupidest reason. Like, it wasn't your fault, pile 3, or maybe you've come across that a lot in the past, of this feeling of, I always get like the short end of the stick. I always feel like people screw me over, especially when it comes to like jobs and money and finances. That can be another way that this has been manifesting. And it sucks because it's like not only, struggling with money, that's, not fun to deal with no matter what, but I think you inherently just, maybe you don't trust people, understandably though, because you're like, oh, well, I don't know, am I just going to get screwed over again and stabbed in the back? And I think too, there might be a sensation of feeling like like, no matter how much hard work you put into things, pile 3, like, it never pays off, or you're, like, never compensated the way that you should be. I almost wonder if people tend to take advantage of you a lot, too. And I think that might be why Surrender to the Habit of People-Pleasing came up, because here, I want to reassure you of this, pile 3. Well, truth number 1. You are a very good person. I know this. I can tell this from this reading. Like, this screams, I mean, not that the other piles weren't nice people, but you especially with this energy scream to me as someone who is very kind, very giving. You know what it's like not to have enough, so you're very generous. Especially, too, with that motherhood energy with the portal card. I think you like to heal people. I think you like to give to people. You have very self-sacrificial, kind, give the shirt off your back type energy. I can tell that for sure with you. I know you're a good person. That's fantastic. However, here's the but part. People take advantage of you sometimes, I think. Okay, so I think truth number 1, well, 2. Number 1, you're a good person. But truth number 2 to admit to yourself today, pile 3, is maybe you need to push back on other people a little bit more. And I think it stems from this people-pleasing habit this card was talking about. You people-please because I think, well, some of you, it's stemming from this feeling of, well, other people have stabbed me in the back in the past, so if I'm really nice to them, maybe they'll treat me better this time. That might be how it resonates for some of you. For others of you, you might people please because of an inherent feeling of, I need to sacrifice for everybody else. That can be where this leans into childhood territory. So, as I said, I didn't necessarily see childhood-related cards for you today, but that doesn't mean that just because you didn't get them doesn't mean that, childhood things weren't involved. Because a lot of times when we have truths about ourselves that we avoid admitting, it's because we've built up believing in a lie or looking away from the truth because it's a habit from childhood that we built up as a security measure. Okay, so or it's ways that our parents or our peers treated us that shape the way we view ourselves. But that doesn't mean that lens you view that was given to you. I mean, literally imagine it like you were given a pair of glasses that distort your view of the world. But that doesn't mean that that's the truth of the world, pile number 3. So some of you might have also had childhoods where, this gets into like family roles and whatnot. I'm not a child psychologist, obviously, but from my surface level knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, anyone that is a child psychologist, but to my knowledge, our role in our birth family does tend to shape who we are as people, as adults. I think you tended to be the self-sacrificial one. I think you tended to be, maybe you were like, what's the term, parentified? Maybe you had to take care of your siblings a lot because a parent failed to take care of your siblings. So you had to step up in the role of, I got to play mommy or daddy, because mommy and daddy aren't doing it. So unfortunately, that does happen a lot. I wish it didn't, but my condolences if so, pile number 3, because that is, no child should have to be a parent, but I think that might be where it stems from for some of you. It can also be that even if you weren't parentified, you were always expected for whatever reason to be the self-sacrificial child. Maybe your siblings, if you have any, were more spoiled than you. Maybe you got less, maybe because of favoritism, or, sometimes it's just really messed up psychological things where like the parent sees themselves more in, either the child they spoil more or in the child they spoil less, and then like to project things, all that wibbly wobbly psychological stuff. You know how it works. So I think with your situation, pile 3, for whatever reason, however this resonates, you were trained to be the self-sacrificer. You're almost like the Christ figure of your birth family, or I don't want to say a martyr. I don't think it was necessarily that you were outcast, but I think you were trained to people please. For some of you, if it isn't that also feeling, as I said before, of, oh, well, maybe if I people please, people won't stab me in the back and they'll be nice. Here's the thing, pile 3. The people you want around you in your life, truly good, honest people like you, will not require you to people please them in order to be good to you. Okay? You have to put up shields around yourself to protect yourself, pile 3. And I'm sure you probably already know that. I mean, like, well, maybe I shouldn't let people take advantage of me as much, or maybe I shouldn't, always say yes to everything, or always give up everything that I want to make other people happy. But it's easier said than done, and I say that as someone that's been a really big people pleaser myself, so I'm speaking from experience here, pile 3. As I said, you're kind of my kin pile today. Sometimes people pleasing actually makes people treat us worse, and I hate to say that, but because mean people will look at a people pleaser and be like, oh, I can take advantage of them. Oh, they're easy to take advantage of. Or what's another way that they say to themselves in their twisted minds? Well, I can walk all over them. I wish people didn't do that, but that's how it works. And so the truth you need to admit yourself to here, I guess we're on the third truth now, pile 3, is you have to stop people pleasing, okay? You have to put up a gate and some walls and say no more. Because, and I know it might have been drilled into you when you were a child, but you deserve to be as happy and to be as pleased as much as you try to make other people happy and pleased, pile 3. Here's a question to ask yourself. If you people please, who the heck people pleases you? And if your answer is nobody, well, why is that? Okay. Either, maybe need to call out some people in your life that aren't nice people. Maybe you're toxic people. Or also, too, sometimes we get respect just by acting like we deserve it, which we all deserve it inherently, don't get me wrong, pile 3, but at the same time, putting our foot down jolts it into other people's heads, oh, I need to respect pile 3, because sometimes people forget, which is crappy, but you know how humans work. As I said, I always say in these readings, I wish inherently everybody was just nice. I'm sure we all wish that, but sometimes we have to be firm. Okay, so I almost think, too, you need to, you're like pile 1 today, where you need to mother yourself a little bit more. And they were more mothering themselves in the way of, self-acceptance and self-love. You need to mother yourself more in a mother bear way, pile 3. You need to be like a really angry, well, not angry, I guess. Firm, that's the word. Let's say firm. Firm mother bear and say no more. And almost treat yourself like a cub that you're protecting as the mother bear to yourself. Okay, so if there's one thing you walk away from this reading with today, pile 3, it's pretend you're a mother bear protecting yourself as a bear cub. Okay, with that ferocity. Mother bears aren't mean. As long as you leave them alone with their cubs, and you don't be stupid. Don't be a tourist that says, oh, I'm going to go pet the bear, right? Don't do that. They'll leave you alone. They just want to survive. They just want to make sure their cubs are safe. Okay, so it's not aggressive, as you know, but it's just that protective motherly energy. Because maybe when you were young, mother figures didn't protect you, maybe, or just parent figures in general, adult figures. Yes. Also, you're burnt out too much. You need to take care of yourself more. That's another truth you need to admit to yourself. And that also leans into some motherly energy as well. So maybe you do have kind of what pile 1 had too, that self-acceptance type energy, self-love. You need to take care of yourself and what you want, pile 3. You can't always give everybody else every single piece of yourself until you have nothing left to give to yourself. Okay, and I think that will help you in a lot of the areas of life where you've been struggling, especially when it comes to things where you're trying to make progress, where you're trying to overcome hardship, where you're trying to move from one phase of life into the other, hence the portal card over here. We talked about that being like a motherhood card, but number 2, a portal is a gateway, right? Things that feel closed off to you now, if you work on these truths and the advice from this reading, you'll probably find those doorways open to you that were closed before. Okay. Trying to see if there's any other messages. And I'm interested about this Be Like Your Spirit Guide. I'm actually going to draw one more card for you today, pile 3 on that card, because I am curious. Because Be Like Your Spirit Guide can mean a million different things depending on the spirit guide we're talking about. So spirit for pile number 3 is Be Like Your Spirit Guide card. Could you give me one card of clarification on that? What do you mean by that? Page of Pentacles reversed. Page of Pentacles reversed. Oh, that's what it is. You need to be more generous to yourself, pile 3. You also need to give yourself more forgiveness and time. Because, number 1, the Page of Pentacles reversed can represent a situation where you're not going slow and steady enough about something. There's something in your life that you need to take more deliberate time regarding. Okay, and I think that's related to that generosity to yourself. It's very similar to that message, and I'm sorry it's repetitive, but it's just reiterated here of needing to take care of yourself more and give to yourself more. Just like the love of a spirit guide would be like to you. So love yourself like your spirit guide would, pile 3. Unconditionally. But maybe that's a meaning too with unaccept. Accepting less crap from other people. I suppose we already talked about that with the people pleasing, but... And then the other meaning of the Page of Pentacles reversed, pile 3, can be needing to explore more with our resources or needing more resources to explore something. Oh, that's what it is. Sorry for the pause there, pile 3. Expanding on that generosity to self message, you also need to give more to yourself in order to make progress, because if you burn out, you can't really get anywhere. If you are finding that you're coming across brick walls in your life in terms of the goals that you're trying to progress on, one piece of advice for that too would be give yourself more resources and time and recovery and rest. And you'll find that exploring the things that you want to do, especially in terms of like security and career and money and those things, because it is a Pentacles card, pile 3, you'll find that those things unblock. So especially of those of you that are resonating with that feeling of like, man, I don't know why I'm not making progress. I don't know why I feel burnt out, or like maybe it's even a feeling of paralysis of this like, oh, I don't know why I can't move forward, but I just feel like I can't. That's why. You're burnt out. You're trying to please too many other people. So be like that mother bear, pile 3, and say no more. Say, I need more time for myself. I need more resources for myself. Just like a mother bear would provide for her cub, but aka the cub is you. It's a little bit of self-mothering energy here. And then with strength as your heart of the matter card, I didn't even talk about strength yet. That's the card of courage and confidence, pile 3. Of feeling like we have the ability to face whatever challenges come our way. And that's what Spirit wants for you today, is for you to find greater strength. Okay, so maybe a little bit of self-confidence exercises might help too. Sometimes people-pleasing does come from like lower self-esteem, and I say that from personal experience, so I'm not blaming anybody, I'm not pointing any fingers, I've done it myself. So I know when I've people-pleased, it's often a feeling of, well, they won't like me because I'm not good enough unless I kiss their butt. Or like they won't think I'm good enough unless I kiss their butt, which is not true, but that's how people-pleasing works, pile 3, at least in my experience. Okay, so think to yourself, why do I care if they like me so much? That's another question to ask yourself. Do you like you, pile 3? That's what you should really think about. Okay? So that was your reading for today, my lovely pile 3, about the truth you haven't admitted to yourself yet, but it's okay. As I said in the beginning, I hope you walk away empowered. I hope you feel like you've gotten greater clarity, and I hope that it soothed your soul. That's also what I care about most. On top of, well, of course, you feel helped. Feel like you got a tool in your toolbox to face life with greater capacity and courage. As is our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 3, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye.